In 2025, MotoGP will welcome 3 new faces to the Premier class, and in today's video we're going to show you 3 things that you need to know about each of the rookie riders. Number 1, how each rider has made their journey to World Championship racing, how they earned their MotoGP seats, and finally, how will MotoGP be impacted now that they're here? Well, let's dive into it. My name's Matt from KneeDown, let's get into it. Coming up first, we have the rookie from Murcia, Spain's very own Fermín Aldeguer. And in 2024, the average age of the MotoGP rider was 27, but Fermín is just 19. And the 19-year-old Spaniard moves into the Gresini Ducati team, replacing the one and only Marc Marquez. But let's go to the beginning, and let's talk about the unconventional journey that Fermín Aldeguer took to get where he is today. Aldeguer started in the world of motorbikes when he was just 2 years old, and with the help of a miniature GP bike called La Bicha, which translates from Spanish to English as the Bug. And Fermín clearly had a talent from a young age, as he conquered the Cuna de Campeones and regional cups of Spain at a very young age, which then earned him the jump to the European Talent Cup. A third place finish in the championship was sufficient enough to follow the logical step upwards to Moto3 within the FIM CEV Repsol Championship. However, this is where things get unique. Fermín took a calculated yet unconventional approach and pursued the larger bikes. Rather than the small yet punchy 250cc machines, the Murcian took to the Moto2 European Championship within the Superstock 600 class, where he would ride this bike here. And what a cracking decision that was, because Fermín blew everyone away by winning the first 6 races and the title in his debut season. His performance was so impressive that in 2021 Aldeguer joined the Boscoscuro talent team, Team Chiatti, where he competed in the FIM CEV Moto2 European Championship. Say that too many times fast. And yet again he immediately made an impact, claiming the title in his debut season and winning every single race but 3 ahead of future teammate Alonso Lopez. An unbelievable season of dominance caught the eyes of Moto2 teams and even Moto E, leading to a dual role of both the 2 classes in 2021. But Matt fact number 1. This marks Fermín Aldeguer as the only rider to ever move from the Electric World Championship class to the Premier class of MotoGP. And that is the first fact of KneeDown. Now, during that breakthrough year, Fermín covered as an injury replacement rider in Mugello for the Speed Up team at just 16 years old, and determined to make the most of that opportunity, Fermín finished in an impressive 12th place, making history again as the youngest rider to ever achieve World Championship points in Moto2 at just 16 years old. Now, with everyone quite aware of the talent of this young man, Fermín secured a contract with the Speed Up team for the 2022 and 2023 season, where the Spaniard again continued to show his talent. Highlights of P4 in Australia and Valencia in just his full season in 2022. But 2023 is the season where Fermín Aldeguer would ascend higher on the power rankings. But speaking of power rankings, myself and Dan have got a power ranking list coming very soon here on KneeDown, which you should not miss. We rank every single rider from the 2025 season in the traditional power ranking. So make sure you're subscribed and check it out when that video comes very, very soon. But moving on to 2023, Fermín had a more modest start. He was in the points in a lot of the races, but just wasn't quite as competitive enough to be on the podium every race or even contend for race victories. Until round 9 at the British GP here in England at Silverstone, the 18-year-old Spaniard dominated proceedings and won his first victory in Moto2. And after Fermín's triumph in England, the podiums started to become more frequent, and most impressively winning the final 4 rounds of the season to lift his championship position all the way up to 3rd place. And even in that stint, he had 6 podiums to end the season, 2 thirds, 4 wins. Amazing performance. And it was that amazing, Ducati took notice. They were so impressed that they snapped him up before the 2024 season had even begun, which kicked off a polarising decisions that fans are still torn about here today. But why are they torn? What's polarising about the decision? Well, 2024 for Fermin Aldeguer was a season of inconsistent results, crashes, bad tyre management, frequent penalties. There was a lot of problems in Fermin Aldeguer's 2024 season, and a lot of people question whether this young man was mature enough for MotoGP after a very disappointing season. Was the pressure of Ducati signing this youngster too much? I guess we'll never know, but one thing we can agree on is the fact that Fermin Aldeguer's Moto2 World Championship chances have now gone, and that is a missed opportunity for the youngster. Will it affect him going forwards? Probably not if you're with the Gresini Ducati. And something that has to be remembered from looking back at Fermin Aldeguer's career is he adapts very well to the bigger bikes. When he was on the mini GPs to Cuna de Campeones, always moving up to the bigger bike, and that is where Fermin Aldeguer seemed to excel. And thinking of the impact that this young man can have on MotoGP for the future can be very, very enticing. First and foremost, we know about Gresini Ducati. Marc Marquez classes them as family, and he only spent one season there. Alex Marquez loves the team, Enea Bastianini loved the team, and so did Fabio Di Gianantonio. Gresini can mould Fermin Aldeguer into their own rider. They can distill him with confidence, the belief to push at the maximum, and just allow Fermin to be the best possible version of Fermin Aldeguer. And don't forget, Ducati have nurtured young talent for years. Until last season when they signed Marc Marquez, but let's talk about that another day. They have bred two world champions, from Pecco Bagnaia to now Jorge Martin. This is another excellent step for Fermin Aldeguer in his progression as a rider. Being on the best bike of the three rookies available, he has a chance to break some records. Not saying it will be done, but it has the potential. At 19 years old, he could be the youngest podium finisher in MotoGP. If he wins a race, he will be the youngest rider to win a race in MotoGP. And that is a very interesting prospect, and I will keep my eyes glued on the Gresini Ducati rider this season, just in case for any new facts to add to the list. From Spain to Japan, it is time to talk about the Moto2 World Champion. And Ai Agora joins the Trackhouse Racing Aprilia team on this bike.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
But we'll talk about the livery another day. It's a unique one. I actually like it, but I know fans aren't particularly too impressed. Anyway, as a child, Ai Agora's father introduced him to this sport, and Ai showed an early passion and talent for motorbike racing. At 3 years old, he started riding pocket bikes, and continued until he was 8 years old. Then as he got older, Agora's racing experience were in the mini bike championships, which is a common entry point for young riders in Japan. These smaller, less powerful bikes allowed him to learn the fundamentals of racing, such as throttle control, corner techniques, and race strategy. By the time he was a preteen, Agora had begun competing in junior-level racing series across all of Japan, earning recognition for his smooth riding style and consistent performances. His success in these competitions attracted attention from talent scouts, eventually leading to his inclusion in the Asia Talent Cup, which serves as a springboard to international racing. Ai Agora began racing in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup in 2015, and coming 7th overall and taking his first win on podiums before 2016, saw the young Japanese rider take another step forward as he ended the season as runner-up in the Cup, behind another certain MotoGP rider. Keep watching, we'll talk about him later on. In 2016, Agora started racing in the Red Bull MotoGP Rookies Cup and competed there for 2 years. He achieved 2 wins and 6 podiums, as he also proved he could do double duty within the FIM CEV Repsol Moto 3 Junior World Championship. Whew, that is a mouthful. And in this said championship, he took his first win in Jerez and set himself up for an assault further forward in 2018. Some DNFs dented his overall charge, but he was in the top 5 overall, which earned Agora a wildcard debut into the Moto 3 World Championship. And doing so, he scored his first Grand Prix point in his debut. Very impressive stuff from a young Japanese rider. 2019 marked his arrival full-time with Honda Team Asia, surprisingly consistent and even took a podium in Aragon, finishing his rookie campaign in 10th overall. But that is not the highlight. 2020 was the breakout year for Ayagoro, and the native of Tokyo secured 7 podiums, more than any of his competitors. But unfortunately, you'll hear this twice in this video, his championship run ran out of steam, leaving Alberto Arenas and Tony Arbolino ahead of him in the final championship standings. Nonetheless, the evidence was clear. This Japanese rider can ride, and he can compete, and this was good enough to secure a Moto2 contract for the Moto2 team, Honda Team Asia, where he'll team up with Somkhiat Chantra. And 2021 was a decent debut, in the points in a lot of the races, and even a podium in Austria. But 2022 is where we saw the ascension of Ayagoro, and he really showed his potential and his class. 2022 saw him take 7 podiums, 2 race wins, which was almost enough to secure the World Championship. But 2 critical, costly errors in both Sepang and Valencia derailed his championship and gave it away to Augusto Fernandez. The second time in his career a World Championship would just disappear. Now we're going to skip the 2023 season because to Ayagoro's standards it wasn't good. Honda Team Asia didn't really have the best of seasons in 2023, so Ayagoro made a very bold move. Jump from the Halleck chassis from Honda Team Asia and join the MTMSI team with a Boscoscura chassis. And in 2024, this move would prove to be fruitful for the Japanese rider. And on his first season, he would claim the big one. His dream would come true and he would win the Moto2 World Championship. 8 podiums and 3 victories. He secured it, I think, every single race but one in the points. And he managed to win it just before we moved on to the final couple of rounds in Moto2. Truly an incredible decision from Ayagoro, and to have the backing to do well on the Boscoscura in his first season is unbelievable. And Agora made history as the first Japanese rider since Hiroshi Ayama to win a World Championship in 15 years. So now that Ayagoro joins the Aprilia team, how can it impact MotoGP and how can he affect Aprilia? Well, first and foremost, Aprilia is known for good front-end feel, balance riding, and good cornering precision, which I think will aid Ayagoro's riding style a lot. Ay has adapted very well with different bikes from moving to the Halleck chassis to the Boscoscura. That worked out extremely well, and he is very methodical in his approach to racing. Doesn't crash all that much, stays consistent, and slowly burns and develops into an even better rider. But I'm actually thinking more on the outside of MotoGP, not just the racing, but the cultural impact that Ayagoro will have from now on. Japanese market is extremely popular, and it's only going to get more and more popular with a rider like Ayagoro. Aprilia's branding and Ayagoro joined together increases more sales in the likes of Japan and brings it more closer to the Asian market. And the reason this is important is because look at KTM at the moment. KTM are going through a struggle, which we'll talk about in another video. But having that avoided and knowing that you can pump money into a project, into a rider, can result into a lot better things. So I think for this reason alone, Ayagoro's impact to that Asian side of the market will be monumental. And I think it's absolutely huge for both Ay and both for Aprilia. That is what I'm going to be looking out for. And let's not forget the actual racing side. This is Ayagoro, the Moto2 World Champion. He's got some potential to do some really good things with Aprilia. I'm going to be keeping an eye on Ayagoro. Excuse the pun. Last but most certainly not least, we have Thailand's hero rider, Somkhiat Chantra. Known for his cheerful personality, incredible wet weathering skills, and familiar smiling face, just like mine. Moving on. Somkhiat Chantra began racing at a very young age. He first gained significant attention when he participated in motocross competitions in his home country of Thailand. But by the age of 9, he was already competing in local motocross events and showcasing his early passion and talent for racing. His transition to road racing came during his teenage years, particularly when he joined the Asia Talent Cup in 2015 at the age of 16. Chantra is one of the main protagonists in the Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup, However, he did have a couple of injuries and ended up missing a bit of time. It was 2016. He achieved 3 wins and 5 podiums, which secured the championship ahead of a future Japanese star, Ayagora. You see how it's linked in now? Ayagora was earlier. Yeah, you were listening. So after this victory, Chantra would move to the FIM CEV Repsol Moto3 Junior World Championship, where he frequently competed in the points. Not able to secure a victory or even a podium, but he still showed tons of promise, and enough promise to earn a wildcard seat in Moto3 for the inaugural Thai GP of 2018. And in that race, he would finish in a brilliant 9th place, and not too long after would receive the opportunity to ride for Idemitsu Honda Team Asia's Moto2 team, teaming up with Dimas Eki Pratama. Chantra's success didn't come quite as quickly as the likes of Aldeguer or Agura, but he always showed promise where the circumstances suited, particularly track specialist at the Asian circuits, or if the track was a little bit wet or mixed, it was all eyes on Chantra. And it took until 2022 for Chantra to hit his stride, and 2022 was a massive year for the Thai rider. He stunned in the second round of the season, dominating the Indonesian GP, which made history as the first Thailand native to win a World Championship race. And he then followed that same success, or similar success let's say, with a podium in Argentina just 2 weeks later. A further 2 podiums would cement a breakout campaign for him, and in 2023 he further elevated that performance, culminating in a triumphant victory at the Japanese Grand Prix. And concluding that season in 6th place overall, he achieved his most impressive season so far. Now 2024, bit like Ayagora's 2023, didn't follow suit, although you felt it would, didn't quite happen. And unfortunately for Somkiat, it was the first year in 2 years that he wouldn't achieve a podium finish, and he would only come close to that with a P4 in his home track of Thailand. But not even the 60,000 plus people in attendance of Thai fans screaming Somkiat's name could will him to the podium. So finally, Somkiat Chantra replaces Taka Nakagami for the MotoGP seat of the LCR Idemitsu Honda. For Chantra, he will have a tougher time compared to the likes of Fermin Aldeguer on the Ducati and Ayagura on the Aprilia. But the one thing that Chantra has above the others is that man is a wet weather specialist. The likes of Ant West, Chris Vermeulen, Marc Marquez, Jack Miller, Miguel Oliveira, Valentino Rossi, Andrea Dovizioso, Danilo Petrucci, the list goes on. All these riders thrive when the wet weather comes. And if you think about Somkiat Chantra's past history of a dominant rider in the wet, dominant in the Asian circuits, what would happen if the rain poured, mixed conditions, flag to flag, people have championships to think about, and it's in Japan, Indonesia, Malaysia, or even Thailand? We could see Somkiat Chantra absolutely send it. That is a huge prospect to watch out for this young man this season. Now, not just the wet weather riding, Somkiat can still make an impact in a very big way. Like we already discussed with Ayagura in the Japanese and Asian markets, he makes an impact. Well, Chantra breaks new ground. He's the first Thai rider to ever make it to MotoGP, and that holds an historical significance. It opens the doors, inspires a new generation of future Southeast Asian riders. And with a following like Somkiat Chantra's, it can have a huge impact on sales and entertainment side for MotoGP. All those Asian fans who are now more interested in MotoGP than they ever have been because they have Ayagura and now Somkiat Chantra to support. And of course, let's not forget, he rides a Honda. I know what you're thinking. Oh, Honda. Oh, God, Honda. Oh, Honda. Awful. Look at Joan Mir kicking the fairing Kota. Yes, I get it. Honda aren't great today. But Honda is not a team that will rest on its laurels. Give it 10 more years and we're probably talking about how Honda's dominating again. So with their track record, with a rider as talented as Somkiat Chantra with the right conditions, we could be seeing history made this season in MotoGP. So that's the list, and those are your 3 rookies for MotoGP in 2025. Of course, stick around because you'll be seeing them in action very soon, because this week it's time for the winter test, and where we'll see all 3 of these rookies in action. But if you're new to MotoGP and you're not quite sure how the testing works, head over to the other video that we've done on KneeDown. Check out Dan's video talking about everything to do with testing. Check it out. It's a good video. But thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Ciao for now.